I'm Brent Todd on behalf of the Penacook Village Association Board. I'd like to welcome you to the PVA's annual meeting. Thank you all for coming out here tonight. It's great to see you here. I just want to note that we have a couple of special VIP guests. We have Mayor Champlin, who, as always, is here tonight. Thank you for coming.
Hey, guys.
And we also have Connie Lane. Connie, congratulations on your re-election victory. Connie, as you may know, is the Merrimack Merrimack District 16 representative, which is Ward 2. So maybe Connie will convince you to come up and during the question and answer session and participate. Okay. Well, that's entirely up to you. We're not going to force you to do anything, but that's up to you. So again, thank you all, and I want to also thank a couple of other quick thank yous. The Merrimack Valley School District, of course, as usual, for allowing us to host the meeting here in their space. Thank you. Concord TV for filming this event. And also thank you to our PVA members, our board members, and our regular members. Your support is very significant to us. We definitely appreciate your support. And coming up, as we get into the next year, we'll appreciate your involvement in hopefully what we'll have as new activities and other things that we can plan. So agenda overview, we're going to just do 10 minutes or less quickly for some PVA business, and then we're going to be voting on new board members and hearing from our special guests. So membership dues, you can see Anna Glover. Anna, raise your hand. There's Anna. Go see Anna if you want to take care of your membership, because the dues are expiring at the end of this year. Also, you will see that there are two placards there. One of them is for donations, which you can use the QR codes either to donate to the organization or to renew your membership. Also, you'll see one of those is a thank you to our business partners, and we've recently posted that on our webpage as well. We do appreciate and thank all the support of our business partners here in Penacook. So I just want to remind folks, this is always an opportunity for me to remind folks of the Penacook Village Association's mission statement and vision statement. And I'm going to just read those for you now. The mission statement is to involve citizens in enhancing the quality of life, protecting the historic character, and fostering economic vitality in Penacook Village. And the vision statement is to build community through a voluntary association that connects neighbors, shares neighborhood information, and promotes activities and civic involvement in the village. And as I was referencing earlier, I think this is really going to be an exciting time for the Penacook Village Association and for Penacook generally. We have the new branch library opening very shortly. That's actually December 5th at 1 o'clock is going to be the grand opening of the library. And then the park, our new Canal Street Riverfront Park, is going to be accessible in December when the construction fencing comes down. So, with these community benefits, I see that there's a lot of great potential for more activity. So I could see, for example, at the park, the PVA hosting a music festival or hosting a concert series. I could see perhaps the return of the farmers market to that location. So there are a lot of things like that, ideas, and we want to hear from you. We want to get your input going forward. So starting next year, we'll try to do some additional outreach through email and otherwise to get some feedback from you about what kinds of things you'd like to see happen. Get now to the election of board members. So any dues-paying members of the PVA board can vote. Just raise your hand at the time when I call for a vote. So some board members have agreed to renew their terms on the board, and those members are Al Brack, Anna Glover, Carol Palmer, and myself. And we have a nomination for a new board member, Judy McPhail. Judy worked on collecting 2,000 pounds of plastic bag material on behalf of the PVA and then applied to the Trex company to get a free park bench. That bench was then donated to Briar Pipe Apartments by the PVA. So Judy, we're excited to have her up for nomination. She also, just by way of background, she volunteers at the Open Door Community Kitchen in Penacook and chairs the Got Lunch program in Hopkinton and has held positions in the Concord Contemporary Club and the district and state levels of the General Federation of Women's Clubs. So she's been involved. So if I could have a motion from someone to approve those 5 individuals to 2-year terms on the Penacook Village Association Board of Directors.
I make a motion to accept all the nominees for their 2-year term.
Thank you, Pat. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ginny. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Raise your hand. Yeah, I told you to raise your hands earlier, didn't I? And I messed that up. We got both. We're covered. Thank you. Any dissent on that? No. Hearing none. Congratulations to all the board members again, and thank you for your service. Thank you. And just a quick note, now begins the punishment, now that you're a board member. A quick meeting of all board members after this meeting so that we can elect officers. We'll hold that very quickly after this meeting is over. I just want to note also that we have 3 members of the board who are retiring, and that's Cindy Jakes, and we want to thank her for her service and her great enthusiasm. Cindy is here tonight. Thank you, Cindy. Really appreciate it. And also Gary Robinette, thank you for your participation. I want to say that both Cindy and Gary are going to continue involvement with the Penacook Village Association on the annual Penacook Memorial Day Parade. So we appreciate your time on the board, but also greatly appreciate all of your assistance with pulling together that wonderful community event each year. And then last but certainly not least is Paula Miner. And Paula has been just a terrific, level-headed, clear thinker for many, many years on the PVA board. We're going to miss her practicality and common sense. You may remember Paula also as a longtime Ward 1 moderator. She's been involved in the community for many, many years. So just a round of applause for Paula, too. In absentia, we really appreciate her dedication all these years to Penacook. There are membership openings on the board, so if anyone's interested, they can contact a board member or send us a note of interest via the PVA website, which is penacook.org. So now what you've been waiting for. I'm pleased to introduce our special guests who will be newly representing us in state government. I want to note also that we did invite Tracy Bricky, who is also going to be she's going to be the representative-elect for Penacook in Merrimack District 15, but unfortunately she sends her regrets. She's out of town and unable to attend tonight. But we do have Senator-elect Tara Reardon here, representing Penacook in District 15. That was the position that was formerly held by Becky Whitley. And Representative-elect Jim Snodgrass, who is representing Penacook in Merrimack District 28, formerly held by Art Ellison. Tara is a Merrimack County Commissioner and its current chair, and also served on the Zoning Board of Appeals as a Concord School Board member. Don't you wish you still had that job?
Got out just in time.
That was a close call.
Yeah.
And also an at-large city councilor, and was a New Hampshire House representative from 1997 to 2009. She's also served on numerous boards and commissions, the Crisis Center of New Hampshire, New Hampshire Governing Council of Housing Action. Jim Snodgrass was executive director of Second Start for 48 years, where he helped to implement educational programs for children and adults. Jim was elected by the Chamber of Commerce as its 2021 Citizen of the Year. I think anyone that worked any one job, especially that job for 48 years, deserves some kind of recognition and award.
Maybe more than that.
I've had some jobs for 48 minutes, so you really outdone yourself, Jim.
It felt like 48.
It felt, yeah, exactly. So let's please just give a quick welcome to Tara and Jim.
Come on up.
You guys can come on up. Come on up, yeah, sure. So I just, congratulations to you both on your election wins, and of course now the really challenging part begins where you have to enter your service next year. So what I thought we would do would be to use this opportunity to have the community get to know you a little bit. This will be recorded, so it'll be out there. It's something that you can share as well, of course, once we get the link to the meeting. And so I suppose if you could just each tell us what you think some of the key issues are that will face the community in Penacook and at the state level for 2025 and beyond.
Yep.
And then afterwards, we can open the floor to the audience for questions, and we'll have Connie Lane come up at that point as well, right? So I'll give you my mic, Connie, after. So with that, well,
Who won the coin toss?
the coin toss, believe it or not, is there actually a winner? I don't know. But what I'll say is it goes to Tara Reardon. We'll do this alphabetically because we're in school. So we'll start with the R's, if you don't mind. Right?
As opposed to T and J.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So Tara
Okay.
Reardon, everyone. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you. It is a pleasure to be here. The district that I was elected to represent includes Concord, Bow, and Hopkinton. Our previous senator was from Hopkinton, and I can't tell you how critical I think it is for the senator for this district to be from the capital region, because so much happens here that's particular to us that may or may not affect the couple of small towns that are there too. And part of what I want to talk about is 5 really big projects that the state is going to do that's going to affect all of us that are coming up. One of them is a new prison on North State Street up behind the old prison. There was some, I think Mayor Champlin probably could talk for a long time about this. When the women's prison was built, there was a lot of infrastructure that needed to be done that the state would have liked the city to pay for, and the city convinced the state that they should pay for it, which was really great because you know how much ledge is in there, and it involved a ton of blasting. So right now, $40 million set aside to do the planning for that building, but in probably 4, 5, 6 years, that's going to be a major headache for us on North State Street here. The other, and one of my favorite projects that's coming up, is a new parking garage that's going up where the Department of Justice used to be, right in the middle of downtown, that just looks like a big pond right now next to the LOB. And that's great, that will take some of the legislators off the street and free up some parking, which they get for free now, and hopefully the city will get the revenue back. But the even better part from that is the existing one that's down on Storrs Street that looks like it's going to fall down and has almost fallen down several times will be coming down. And if you stand back there and envision what the back of Storrs Street looks like without that garage, the buildings are beautiful. It's a real economic development opportunity for Concord, and I really hope to see us take advantage of that. The other one, and all of these involve state funds, and that's why I'm so keyed into them. The other one is the parking at the bus station. The bus station is on land that's leased from the state of New Hampshire, and if you've been by there, you know it doesn't even take February or April vacation before that is totally full, and we need some more parking there. The city is working on it. The state has got to look at the long-range plan for that. Once Brady Sullivan actually puts parking, those buildings, develops those apartments right there, that's going to take even more parking away. And we need that bus station. If you think about every single car that's there doesn't drive to Logan Airport, which is a good thing, taking that many cars off the road. And then there's I-93 widening. I-93 widening is going to be a headache. The original plans for it had an 8-lane highway coming through the city of Concord, and I think people have really prevailed. It's actually slimmed down some, with a lane being there just for entrance and exit purposes. They're still looking to see if it can be maybe minimized a little bit more, but the city has done a really good job at negotiating a lot of things for the city of Concord that will happen in conjunction of that, including a big pedestrian bikeway over the Merrimack River, the completion of the Greenway Trail from at least where it ends at 6 Loudon Road there, on up through Horseshoe Pond, I guess it goes to. It'll connect with that CSX property there. So those are kinds of things that if you're the senator from Concord, you really know about, you really hear about, and you can really advocate for people. An example of what happens when the senator is not from Concord, we're building a forensic psychiatric hospital right on Clinton Street right now. That's a residential neighborhood right there. I think that's going to happen. The state gets to build where they want to build, but the messaging to the people who live in that neighborhood and the daycare that's across the street needs to be really clear. You need to know how you're going to know if there's an emergency. If there's never been an emergency, you know what the standards are and how you'll know what's going on. And I think that's another critical communication piece. Other than that, drastic change in the House and the Senate this year, numbers-wise. That doesn't mean my favorite subject, housing. Everybody needs housing, and I have no doubt that we can come up with bipartisan solutions on housing. It does mean a lot for the budget, though. The days of ARPA and gopher money, I see Connie just hanging her head right now. All of the free money is gone, and the governor's directive was a 4% reduction in every budget statewide. And it's hard to do a 4% reduction when your health insurance goes up 14 14%. And the state employees finally got a raise that they waited for 6 years that will go into effect this year. So lots of things that have to happen. We need to minimize that as much as we can and save critical programs that are out there that help those that are less fortunate than us, that need that help. So that's, I think, what I wanted to, I could talk about housing forever. That's what I've done my whole career, is housing in one form or another. I will say that you all have done your part. You deserve a round of applause for the amount of housing that's been created here in Penacook. This is really fantastic. Concord has done their part, which is typical of the cities in the state. The small towns haven't done their part, and frankly, they don't really want to do their part. They don't want to change their zoning, and they hold up a local control flag every time somebody tries to make them do it. My idea is fashioned on something that Montana has done, where they came up with a list of 16 things that would improve the density of housing, an accessory dwelling unit, a duplex where there was formerly a single-family home, a manufactured home, a new manufactured home, any place that a single family could go, just a list of things like that of zoning improvements, passing it into law and saying, you have to pass 2 of them or 3 of them. Pick from your list. Total local control. You choose your adventure. You pick the one that you want to do, and you have total control of it in the town. So that's my vision of, along with a lot of other legislators' vision of what we can do this year. And hopefully we'll end up with some more housing so businesses can actually hire people because they'll have a space to live, and we'll start growing our business economy too, in addition to the tax base of towns, residential and commercial. So other than that, nothing's going on at the at the State House. Go ahead, Jim.
Well, I learned a lot. My name's Jim Snodgrass, and as I said, I was executive director of Second Start for 48 years. I've been in Concord for 50 years. I have, got to Second Start. It was had 5 employees and a budget, and it was in the Congregational Church on North Main Street, and I built it up to what it is now, where it has about 70 employees. We do adult education for adults that haven't finished high school. We do an adolescent program for teenagers that are struggling in the public schools. We have a daycare center, and we do drug and alcohol counseling in 6 school districts. So it was a long haul to do it. So that's a little bit about me. The other part is when I got here in the 1970 census, over 40% of the adults had not finished high school. That's a big number, and it's much better now, much better. So it took some time, 50 years, but it has gone down. I don't have a whole lot. I'm a newbie, and so I'm kind of just learning what some of the issues are. And part of it, I wanted to hear kind of what people could let me know what they think the issues are. So that's about all I have, unless.
All right, great. Well, thank you both very much. So at this time, then, why don't we just open up the floor to questions if anybody has any questions at all for them. And Connie, would you want to come up? I'll give you my mic.
You guys can just go ahead. Yes. What is the basic perimeter of each of your areas? I don't know the districts off the top of my head.
So mine is all of Concord, all of Hopkinton, and Bow. So
Concord and Bow?
And Bow. Concord, Bow, and Hopkinton.
Okay.
Yep.
And I cover wards 1, 2, and 3, which is Penacook. Route 2 is, what's it called? Just
2 is half Penacook and half Concord, and that's me.
Ward 3 is North State Street all the way down on the
Right.
left-hand side.
Yes, it's Beaver Meadow, the area around Beaver Meadow.
So, yes.
If the Stone Street parking garage is coming down, is that going to be replaced with anything else?
So the parking garage that's being built right now between the Christian Science Church downtown and the Legislative Office Building, like behind the State House Annex, there's an empty block right there where it used to be New Hampshire Savings Bank when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And then it was the Department of Justice, right in front of City Hall.
Okay.
There is a whole block with chain link fence and dirt and a pond in the middle of it right now. That's going to be a 400 and some odd, 430 space parking garage. That's supposed to be pretty, we'll see. So that right now, the legislators have that one on Store Street, which isn't big enough to hold them, has like 250 spaces in it. We have 424 legislators and senators. So they take that one down. There'll actually be more space to park in a garage and hopefully take some people off the street there.
So that won't be a public garage?
No, you don't want it to
Interesting
be a
question.
public.
Interesting question.
The shoppers who are, you know, like all of the people who go to like the O.
Yep.
The Red River Theaters, the people who park in the garage and go to all the shops.
So
on
that parking
South
garage
Street.
stays. That one's not coming down.
Oh.
That's,
Oh, no.
that's brand new. It's just a.
It's on North State Street.
Store Street.
Stores.
The new one's on
Store
North State
Street.
Street. Store Street, where Concord Antiques is, just on the other side of the Bridge Street Bridge, you drive
You know
under.
where the brewery is, between the brewery and, you
Crab-
know,
Concord
and
Crab?
there? It's that ugly
So
metal
where-
thing, that's it.
At the mural.
Yeah, just at
yes.
the,
Not the one at the theater where.
no.
Correct.
Right.
No,
You got it.
No, no.
And you don't want that one because it's falling down and it's way beyond its useful life. And literally, if you go in there, you'll see it's, they have rocks that fall down and it falls down. So I always like to park on the top because at least I know rocks aren't going to fall down on my
The
car.
Store Street part actually has netting under it to
Yeah.
catch the rocks.
To catch the rocks, yeah, so.
It was also built before you had big SUVs. 'cause you
That's
couldn't
true.
Oh, yeah, you
walk
can't.
that ground like that.
Yeah, you'll see a lot of legislatures that have scratches on their cars from turning the too tight, yeah.
So is this parking garage going to be only used for state legislators?
It's only going to be used for state legislators.
So how often is this parking garage just going to sit completely empty? As in,
Mostly from July through December. There's some folks who are there with study committees. There is, and some city councilors may have been involved in these discussions about possibly, they want it to be secure. So possibly letting Concord police officers, who right now are all up and down School Street, their streets are out, possibly letting them park in there, especially overnight or during the off months. But there's a security issue, is the reasoning that we're given.
personally, that kind of sounds kind of ridiculous that
Yep.
there's going to be so much parking space that residents of Concord aren't going to be actually be able to use, and it's just going to sit empty most of the time.
Yeah, yep, I agree with you.
I think
I agree with you,
yeah.
yeah.
It's a good point. It's a very good point.
Is there a reason that they want it so secure?
Not that I know of, but I wouldn't,
I don't know.
absolutely know about the security. But I think the plan is to continue to ask and continue to ask. And they would still like some, the state would still like some on-street parkings because they have people with a disability who need to be closer to a door rather than under cover for them. So I think there's still some negotiating. that
Some
can be
wiggle room,
done.
maybe.
Yeah, yeah.
As a frequent user of Concord trails, it's just stunning how that overflow parking has become overflow. Have they done a census to see if those are people from downtown coming into that parking?
I always wondered where all those cars came from.
At the bus station? Are
Yeah,
you talking
yeah.
about? Yeah, I don't know. I agree that it's overflow.
And it's across from the bus station, too,
Yeah.
all of it.
Yeah,
A lot of people work in Boston now.
yep.
Yeah.
My son
Yeah.
used to commute.
Yeah, there
So we
there's an
take the
amazing
bus.
number of people who commute. Yeah.
So the plan right now for the city is, they own the land that's off of Store Street on this side of the track, behind U-Haul. U-Haul, I don't know if on purpose or not, owns a 15-foot wide strip the whole way along, so you can't get to the city land without going over U-Haul land. So I think they have negotiated something with U-Haul that will allow them to cross their 15-foot strip and it gives them another 150 parking spaces in 2 rows along there. It's going to be a walk. I'd get to the bus station early if you end up parking, you know, at the far end of that to get in. But it's more parking.
Yeah, 3:15 in the morning, you're safe,
Yeah, you'll be fine. You'll be fine.
usually.
Has the city and state ever considered more options that, like, such as transit bus systems that would get people to the bus station without having to add more parking?
Yeah, you want to talk to your city councilor about that. Yeah.
And there's one there too.
Well,
Mayor.
also,
Yeah,
that's
go
also
back.
a question for state representative too, state rep as well, because as a regional system, we're regionally growing, Boston's growing, Hopkinton's growing, all these towns work together. We need bus systems that come together, that's state funded as well. I believe should be state funded as well.
I agree. I think public transportation is a great idea. If any of you travel, I know we travel a fair amount, we would never consider using a car when we're in a city. We would never get a car. We walk to where we go or take a bus or something like that. But it's the nature of bus systems, number one, what they cost. A bus system is always subsidized. You know, if you see a CAT bus in downtown Concord, there's no way the ridership pays for that. So that's a public policy decision that we make about whether that's important to us and whether we're going to do it. I will say, and I think it's got huge ridership, that this year, all that was preventing the CAT system, which is the system that the city council negotiates with in Concord, from going from Penacook to Laconia was the cost of a driver. And when the county got ARPA money this year, we funded a driver for them. And now there's a bus that is used an unbelievable amount for people making that trip back and forth.
So will you as a state senator work towards getting more funding so we could possibly hire to these county programs that we could hire more drivers and get more buses that could get more routes open?
I will always be pro-public transportation, and I think it will take our federal delegation and our state delegation and our local folks. We'd have to bring Bo and Hopkinton into that conversation too, if that's where it was going to be from, or Bosquen, whoever, into it. Yeah, it makes more sense. And I would love to not own a car. If I didn't need a car, I would love to not own a car. That would be
Yeah, the other proposal is the train, is a train system to come down and try to do that, and we keep moving towards that, but there's a lot of resistance to a train, but a train system between here and Boston would really be a great idea. But again, we've met with a lot of resistance.
Just a few quick questions to follow up to your question. The status of the current parking garage for the legislators, is there a time frame for the construction of the highway? Start date, projected date, and then you mentioned a pedestrian walkway. Do you know where that would be located?
Yeah, kind of. So I'll start with the legislative parking garage. The state appropriated the money last year to build it, so that should be started, I would say, in the next couple of months, probably, as soon as they could start putting.
Correct. What's happening?
When will that come down?
Yeah.
Not until the other one's built.
Yeah.
Okay.
So-
Plans to keep it there?
No plans to keep it there. Yep, no. The widening of I-93, Byron, I might need your help. I don't think it'll start till 2030.
I was going to say, I thought it was at least 6 or 7 years.
Yeah, there's stuff that will happen before that. The Loudon Road Bridge has got to be widened, and that will take in excess of a year to do, and it might close that down for over a year. You might not have the Loudon Road Bridge for a year. You'll have to go around Hazen Drive, actually, to get to the Heights. And was there another question after that?
Pedestrian walkway?
Oh, that's an exciting part of the I-93 plans, is there across the Merrimack River at Loudon Road, there'll be a 14-foot wide pedestrian bridge, so it'll get you from Shaw's to the arena there. It also will get you over to the Sunflower Seed Field Greenway Trail, and then it's still under engineering about how you get people to like Main Street from there, because
Right.
there's lots of intersections to be crossed, and you can't necessarily put it over things because it makes access for somebody who's disabled, that's a long ramp.
Just one more follow-up. There's an area, I think they call it the CRUD area.
Right corridor.
Is that being, is something going to be done with that? Is that part of the highway construction, the highway?
So what corridor is that?
The crud corridor. The opportunity corridor.
Oh, okay, thank you. It's like,
The backside of stores. Yeah,
Quad corridor.
I don't know, yeah. You can say we missed the train station if you want. That's what we all think of when we.
We all do that.
We all miss the train station. Yeah.
Tara, I'd like the state to consider having a sign at exit 17, the southbound side, that during the tourist season, that the exit is closed and it's only open to local residents.
Is tourism our first or second biggest economy?
Right. Probably first.
How the state can ever control all that traffic that comes onto our local roads and neighborhoods. And you know the app that's out there
Yeah.
that directs them off of
Waze,
exits.
yeah.
A lot of
Yeah.
them come down Route 3 from 19. They start at 19.
19 now.
I tried to get to the traffic circle at exit 16 one Sunday afternoon about 5 o'clock, and I couldn't even get into the traffic circle. It was one, coming down Mountain Road was one continuous, for a long, long time, chain of cars before I could even get in the traffic circle and go up Shawmut Street from there.
But this also goes along with the idea that with your interest in housing and working with us, the city of Concord, traffic, as we build more and more neighborhoods, and I'm thinking right now on Fisherville, you know, all those new condos on one side, and I heard that they're now thinking about doing the 300-400 on the other side. I guess Mr. Cheney's coming back.
Yep.
Where are these cars going to go?
I think we need a bus, right? We need a bus. We need a bus, right. Or you make Fisherville Road an extra lane, which we don't want either.
Thank Byron for slowing down Monitor Way project, but seriously,
Yeah.
I mean, we live here,
Right.
and it's, you know, and then the cost to rebuild the roads, you know, the city does what it does on paving, and it's just,
Yeah. So the bus station alone, when I see the number of cars that are at that bus station and think they're not on the highway, that proves the point of buses make sense. So if you could do the same thing to Fishville Road, if you had 20 people on a bus, then you're taking 20 cars, which would be significant.
They had a bunch of
One of the biggest issues with our bus system is it ends at 6 o'clock at night. So people who want to go out to the bar or have a job at a restaurant that closes at 10 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock at night, they can't run the bus to and from Penacook. Because there is no night bus.
And if you extend it into Concord and into downtown Concord and further out into the outside areas, you get the people coming in on buses, they don't have to come in using the car.
Right.
No need to worry about the parking
Right. Taking notes, Byron?
or the roads.
She's taking notes, Byron.
We need a tram, we need that all.
These guys and I are parking 10 pounds.
Stephen, can downtown promote use of bus? Just dovetailing off these comments, the downtown, or to promote, hey, you can get here on the bus.
Right.
Publicize that with all their patrons. Hey, think about the bus the next time.
Yeah, and I think you've got to accommodate the people, what hours that people need the bus.
Even if it's a smaller bus.
Yep.
Exactly, yeah, that's what I was thinking. You can use a smaller bus. It doesn't have to be one of those huge ones. you know. But I was going to pick up on what Tara said about housing. It's also a huge issue in the House where Jim and I are. And there's a special, I think there was a special committee on housing for the state and last year, and I think they're going to make it a regular committee this year. And if they do, then we're hoping to see more proposals come out so that, and Penacook and Concord have done a lot towards housing. Not all towns and cities have. And we're trying, it is the biggest issue and the biggest problem for employers because they can't get people to come here because they can't find an affordable place to live. So from an economic standpoint, it is definitely a huge issue. And I keep talking about it like it's infrastructure. Housing is infrastructure because if we don't have it, we're not going to be able to grow. And like my kids won't be able to live here because they won't be able to afford it. And it just multiplies. And then the other big issue for us in the House is education. So we will be looking at, there's 2 lawsuits going on now that could affect the state and the state monies that are going to be required to come in. And if the state doesn't put more money into the school system, then your property taxes are going to go up. Because the only way we fund schools right now are property taxes. And that's the only way the city can do it. So if by the state cutting taxes on interest and dividends and on business enterprises, what they've done is they've cut the revenue, the biggest sources of revenue that the state had. And there's no money to give out. And so as a result, we're trying to find ways to put more money in, but we can't. So your property taxes may well go up, not because of anything that anybody did, but we've not been funding education in an equitable and a fair way. And we've gotten away with it for 30 years, but I think it's going to come home and haunt all of us.
Come home to roost.
Yes, it will. So I'm the doomsdayer, I'm the bad news girl, but I just want you to know that that's a huge issue and it will be top item, I think, the next 2 years because there's just not enough money coming into the state to fund everything. And we cut a lot of services down to the bare bones. So I don't know where it's going to go. It's going to be a very bumpy 2 years. So somebody had a
question.
So how do we countenance the fact that we give money away to vouchers? If we're saying that we don't have enough money to do our public schools, how can we give it to private institutions? How can we give it to religious schools?
I have not voted for any of that. I don't think either of these two folks.
I'm asking.
I don't know how. They do not like the public schools.
Just repeat the question too.
Oh, I'm sorry. He wants to know about vouchers and why we are funding vouchers that take money away from public schools.
Because the majority of the legislators who were elected voted for it.
Because
I understand that, but I'm asking.
it is a high priority issue for the Republican legislators and senators. And
And the Commissioner of Education.
And the Commissioner of Education.
His term's up in March.
So it
That's the good
has
news.
been an uphill battle trying to fight
I
them
hope she
on
doesn't.
this issue. The problem right now is that they're not held accountable for that money. So we're trying to hold them accountable. And hopefully, if we're going to cut money, we're going to cut money from the vouchers. But I don't know. I mean, it's going to be
It'll be a battle.
I guess what I'm asking you to do is to keep the good fight. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
we do.
And vouchers will still exist, and vouchers are a good reason, a good thing for kids that really can't make it in the public schools. They need to go to a specialized charter school for them. But this is vouchers on steroids that, as Connie just said, isn't audited at all. And they farmed it out to a third party to administer the voucher program. If it was a state agency, it would have been audited already. We have no idea how the money's spent. And I found out today, the money doesn't lapse. If your kid is awarded $2,500 and you use $200 that year, the money doesn't lapse. It's still there. You could carry it over year after year until you're, yeah.
And your eligibility is not tested every year. So even though you might be eligible 1 year, if you make money or say you've gotten a job or whatever, it is not, they don't test again. So once you're in, you're in. There's a gentleman over here.
So I've got a question. Do you have the solution? And I want to couch that with a little bit of knowledge that I have, which is you touched perfectly on where the problem is the equity part of it. The part, the amount that I pay here in this
Right.
area versus what, say, somebody might pay in Marion. And the legislator had it fixed once upon a time. And I don't know if this number means anything to you, 660. I don't know if you remember back, there was a statewide, it was the beginning of the SWEP,
Yep.
Yes.
which was the 660, and the whole state paid 660, and then that got doled back up. And that meant that the folks that were in the Lakes region that have multi-million-dollar homes had to pay up.
Yep.
Boy, they didn't like it.
No, they didn't.
Somehow, they got the legislature to roll that back, and
That's in 2011, I think they did that. And they rolled it back, so they got rid of so-called donor towns. And now they get to keep the money. Now, they're supposed to be spending it on education in those towns, but it's not entirely clear that that's the case. And there's a lawsuit going on exactly at this point, and was heard in the Supreme Court, I think, this week or last week. So,
But we all know Claremont was a lawsuit 30 years ago.
30
and
years ago, and they've done nothing.
We've never done
Never,
one of
yeah.
this, so, yeah. I think we have to fund an adequate education for kids. If we funded an adequate education, there would be relief for everybody right across the board, but that's not a priority for the current legislature, for sure.
yeah.
Maybe 2 years from now.
yeah, that's good. So are there any solutions that you're maybe trying to work? I mean, you're not going to get the whole Monte. Is there little baby steps that you?
I think
Yes.
auditing education freedom accounts is one step
Yes.
that's going to claw
No,
back some
they
money.
do have a plan. Unfortunately, I'm not on that committee, so I don't know exactly what the plan is, but Dave Luna will be the chair of that committee. He's from Hopkinton, and I can tell you they are all over it. And we have an excellent committee members
Education
on
committee.
the education committee, and they have fought this tooth and nail all along the way. And they have a strategy, but it's really hard. We're, 40 seats down, so it's going to be tough. So show up at the edge when they have a committee, or sign on, get a hold of one of us, and you can sign on and put your comments and tell the committee how you feel. Because you can do it online, or you can come and do testimony before that, because a lot of times what happens, the only people that are being heard are the ones who want the vouchers.
Can those links go on the PBA website?
Yep, I'll send them to you. Okay.
That'd be really, really helpful.
Got a question back here.
So I have a question about real estate transfer taxes. Because I would love to know where that money goes, because since the pandemic, we had record years of sales. Actually, Manchester, New Hampshire area was the #1 market in the country for several months and several quarters. Not only have the number of transactions increased incredibly, but the median price of homes has gone up to now, right now in Merrimack County, I looked tonight, it's $540,000 is the median price of a home.
Yep.
We're still collecting 15% per thousand on every single transfer. I have a closing tomorrow, and my side of the tax is $4,000, right? For a home that sold for $175,000, probably back, I want to say 8 years ago. So we're collecting so much more money. Where is that all going?
The state.
The registry in the county gets to keep a very, very small percentage of it to help fund them. The rest of it goes to the state, and it used to just go to the general fund. A couple of years ago, there's a carve-out of that now it goes to the Affordable Housing Fund at New Hampshire Housing Finance. So they can use it to stimulate housing that's being done. So, but a lot more could go, but we have to be careful about what we take away from the general fund too, because that's going to get raised someplace else along the way, or services are going to get cut. So I agree. That's a really important source of taxes. Another really important source was the interest and dividends tax. You didn't pay it until you had more than $200,000 worth of income from your investments. So that's a lot of money. The Republicans repealed it this last year. We got 163 million a year from it, and they love to cut taxes, and not all Republicans. That's part of their platform, though, to cut taxes. And so that disappeared this year, another 163 million out of the budget. We thought there might be cannabis legalization passed last year. Right now, we're the donut hole. Everybody around us has it legalized. And if you talk to anybody, they say, well, I would love to not be able to drive to Kittery anymore, to just get it locally. So this governor's not going to pass that, just as Sununu didn't. And so we give that tax revenue to all of our surrounding states without, we're not influencing the problem if somebody thinks it's a problem that people smoke cannabis. We're just not getting the revenue from it. It's really
I'm sorry.
foolish.
If you go walk in downtown Boston or in New York City or in any of these other cities,
Yeah.
anytime you walk down the street, you're getting high from all the smoke around you. We don't have that going on in Concord, and I don't like it that way.
Yeah, so it was estimated to be $23 million in taxes. It's not that people aren't smoking. We're just not getting the tax
But they
revenue.
aren't downtown. They're not. You know, any of these other cities, have any of you been there? Have any of you been recently?
Yeah.
Yeah, it stinks.
Yeah,
It stinks.
Yeah.
And why is that? Because it's legal, because they have it available everywhere. It's like buying cold medicine, whatever. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
Do we really want that here?
I think we have it here. I think we have it already.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's pretty prevalent here already. Maybe people aren't as obvious about it because it's not legal, but,
We don't allow public drinking, but we
Right.
allow public not smoking.
right, right.
Anybody else?
I'm in favor of legal weed in New Hampshire.
What's that?
I said I'm in favor of legal.
Yeah. We're going to save you that drive to Kittery. Right, right. Yeah,
We're down, right over the border of Nashua.
yep, right, yeah.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Hey, Brent, I have one. This is a softball.
Absolutely.
Do each one of you have like something you are looking forward to this legislative cycle? Maybe to finish on a high note, not literally high note, but.
No pun
Well,
intended.
I mean, this isn't probably what you want to know, but I have to say, people often ask me, how do I do what I do, particularly in the face of, I'm a Democrat and very heavily Republican. And it is my peers, it is my colleagues, it is these guys. We support each other, and I have learned a lot from my colleagues. This is my fourth term, and I've learned an amazing amount. And I've met some really amazing people that are legislators and then my constituents, and that's the people that I have faith in. And I put my faith in that and basically go day to day and hope that we will get out of this maybe in 2 years. Remember, we had a blue tsunami in midterms, so, and I think also, but it is my colleagues and, you know, all of you, and that's the good part. As far as legislation goes, I don't know if they're gonna, we don't have the numbers.
I think I'll highlight one other thing about serving in the legislature is I have such great admiration for state employees. They're the ones that provide us with 90% of the information that we need to do our jobs, and they have that same attitude that they're going to go to work every day. We're going to slash their budget to death. You know, they're not going to have pencils by the time we're done. But they have a great attitude. We have incredibly great state employees who do it day in and day out. We get elected 2 years at a time and can elect not to do that. It's their job, and I am wowed every day by the people. I just sat through the budget hearings. It was unbelievable, the people, the knowledge that they have, how creative they are when the budget is really, really skinny. They're making 4% cuts, and every one of them are saying, yeah, we can do it. We can do it. We'll still provide our services and stuff, and it's an exceptional group of people, I'll say. They really are.
Okay, good.
We're good? Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Let's have another round of applause for all three of them. I'm now the collector of all the equipment from Concord TV, but that's all right. I can do that. I can add that job. So just thank you again. And before we go, I just wanted to add a couple of other quick comments here. Just to note that on December 4th, Wednesday, is going to be the 19th annual Penacook tree lighting ceremony on Boudreaux Square. So you can start to assemble around 5:30, 5:45. We'll have the usual entertainment and treats. I think we're going to have the hot cider and cookies, courtesy of our friends at the Concord Sunrise Rotary. We'll have the Penacook Elementary School Chorus performing, the Blanchard Family Singers. So it's a really fun event, so I hope to see you there for that. Also, just a note, as I mentioned earlier, starting on December 5th, the library opens. So the library hours, the new Penacook Branch Library, this is at 76 Community Drive, the new library, Mondays 9 to 3, Thursdays 1 to 7, Fridays 12 to 6. I encourage you all to go out and use the library and visit it. They will be tracking foot traffic. They'll be tracking the number of items that are taken out of the collection. All of those statistics help to justify the existence of the Penacook Branch Library, and also for those of you who I'm hearing some messages from folks, gee, it'd be great to have more activities. The more that we use the activities, the more that we participate, the more we'll be able to get. So I think that
An extra half day open too, isn't it?
that's right. These are increased hours. These
All Monday morning, and then the others are 2 afternoons.
That's correct. Yep, that's right. Exactly. That's right. So, and then, the space will be available to all of us in the community to rent it. That's going to come, I think, sometime in a little bit shortly, maybe in another month or so, after they've gotten everything settled, the dust settles from all the library staffing and the programming and getting everything moved in and open, making sure everything is running smoothly. And then that space will also be available for meetings in the future. So we might find ourselves there. Do you have a question, Pat?
Use that space for this meeting?
We could. Yeah, that is an option for us to do. That's right. And really, up until now, we've been, really fortunate to have the generosity of the Merrimack Valley School District, but we will have that option, I think, available to us in the future as well. So, so that's one thing. The other thing I just wanted to mention, just because we touched on a couple of subjects, but the CAT bus system, that's actually run by the by CAP BMI. So it's not run by the city and it's not run by the state. So they're another important player that would need to be at the table when we talk about expanding service or doing this. It's the state and the city, but also CAP. And they're very well attuned. They have a great director right now who really has actually helped the program that Tara Reardon mentioned. She was really instrumental in getting that up and running. Her name is Terry Page, and so she'll, I'm sure, continue to look for opportunities, but it always comes down to a question of funding and where those funding resources are going to come from. They do a lot of advertising. They get funding from that. They get funding from grant dollars. With those grant dollars, especially the federal dollars, there comes additional requirements if you're going to use the federal money. So you have to provide service in certain areas and so forth. So it starts to get a little complicated, but I think that we'll continue to look into that, I think, going forward. And the city does have a Transportation Policy Advisory Committee that always, each month at its meetings, has updates, regular updates from the representative of CAT bus service to what's happening, how are we doing with hiring drivers, all those kinds of things. And the city can help CAP in that way, just as a liaison and also to provide guidance. So that's always ongoing. That'll continue. The Greenway Trail, I understand the DOT is going to be coming with there are 3 current proposals for that question of where the trail is going to come out and how it's going to connect and so forth. Those 3 different variations are going to come before the Transportation Policy Advisory Committee at some point next year. That's what we understand from the DOT. And so they will discuss that within that group and then be able to make a recommendation of what's the preferred option. So highway traffic on the local roads, you were talking about that, the cutoff traffic. If you can, or anyone can come up with a way to convince people to not use their GPS any longer, we'd be all set. I think that that's not going to happen, and so that's where we're in the situation that we're in across the city in various areas where the highway backs up and these folks are using those directional finders to take them to a different route, which happens to be through our neighborhoods, which affects our quality of life. So I think that that's the reason for thinking seriously about this expansion effort and also getting the continued data. I understand the DOT is going to be providing community meetings coming up in the year ahead to discuss the details of the data that they have, I guess, bought a lot of really detailed data about where those cars are going. and in what neighborhoods are they going to. And so it'll be very interesting when we dive into that data to see what those results are and what they mean for each of our neighborhoods, including here in Penacook. So that'll be up on the horizon as well. So with that, Jack.
I have one more thing.
Yeah.
You know that the traffic circle downtown for us, some guy drove through it and damaged a lot of the plumbing and stuff that's in there. It's been like that for 3 months or something like that. I wrote to the city and said, hey, how come this is not getting fixed? They said it's not their problem. It's the guy who's supposed to be taking care of it, the doctor. Do you know anything about this?
Well, I think that the Whitney family is now taken over from Dr. Gabrielli in terms of being in charge of that adopt space.
Yeah.
So they, in fact, were looking, good question, because they were interested, I think they inquired of the PVA about whether or not we have funds to be able to assist them, and we do. A lot of your generosity, and when you donate dollars to the PVA for your membership, and you can set aside certain dollars to go to different funds, and that's one of the funds that's available. So we can follow up with them and see what the plans are, but I think that in terms of the cosmetic issues, that those would be things that would, have to be taken care of by that. But if there's something that's infrastructure-wise, then I would think that, yeah, I think that we could get some advice at least and find out if the city has any way of assisting with that. So we can.
Well, I was going to volunteer my time to help them with that, so I didn't know who the person would be with that.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll talk afterwards, and I'll go get you that info. Thank you, Jack. Appreciate that. That's good. All right. Anybody else have any other comments or anything? Well, once again, I really thank you for coming out tonight. Thank you to all of our guests again. It was a pleasure, and I think they'll probably stick around. If you have any other additional questions or thoughts, feel free to reach out to them. We look forward to seeing you at the tree lighting soon, and I hope everybody has a wonderful and safe, happy Thanksgiving and happy holidays. Thanks.